Hey friends, my name is Curtis Sethaler. I am the area director for Young Life in Quincy, Illinois. I'm going to be leading a session today over the next 8 or 10 minutes on club during the pandemic. If you're able to do club, if you're not able to do club, we're going to talk through some ideas there and really kind of how we can impact kids outside of what has become our normal for club. Before I get into that, I want to tell you thank you. As Young Life volunteers, you actually outnumber our staff globally over 12 to 1. Young Life is a volunteer driven ministry. And because of your willingness to serve, your willingness to go and impact kids, Young Life happens. So thank you for continuing to impact kids through this pandemic, through the era of COVID, finding new ways to meet kids, to know kids, to lead them to Jesus and to help them grow in their faith. Thank you so much for doing the work that God has called you to do through Young Life and for volunteering with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, as we get into what this club talk kind of is going to be, this year has been nothing like we've ever experienced before. Here in Illinois, where I am, our health department has asked us not to meet in person through the end of the year. We're expecting that to stretch a little bit beyond that as the vaccine and stuff is rolling out. Waiting to make those phone calls with the health department and really see what is going to come and what their really advisement is going forward. That being said, our perception, and this is the first point that I want to make, our perception of this time is going to define how we view club, but also how students view club and view Young Life. I've heard it said, and I've said it, that this isn't how we normally do club. But we're going to do it this way tonight for those of us that were able to do club earlier in the semester, maybe even closing out last year. And I think that just phrasing things that way really sets things in kind of a negative tone of like, this isn't our best, but this is all that we can do. And when we switch that perception to, hey, we get to do club, we get to do X, Y, Z, whatever it may be, then it changes how kids view that. Like, guys, we get together tonight, and the energy that we get to bring with that, kind of the oh boy leader logic, if you've heard that term before. We get to build kids up in the hope that there is something just special about the nights that we get to gather. So our perception of this time has everything to do with how students view our time with them too. So if you're able to do club, bring it. Be excited for kids to be there. Be excited for them to get to do something. Don't put yourself down and like, this isn't how we normally do it. This is how we do it. Right now, this is. There's no guarantee that we're going to get back to what I will call a normal Young Life club. You know, we've all been through a lot in the last year. I think the normal that we experienced before is gone. What we are going to have is a new normal where hugs and high fives mean more than they ever have before because we've been so long without those things. Being in a room together, tightly packed and hanging out with our friends is something we haven't experienced in almost a year now. And being able to do that again is going to be something that's so special if we can get back to it. So our perception of this time either is something that is negative or is a time for viewing things as an opportunity. And that's it. You know, this is an opportunity for us to really redefine how we do ministry and to dig deep. John Miller in Back to the Basics of Young Life, chapter 6, it's page 97 and 98 if you own the book. If you don't, I highly suggest that you read it. He talks about how Jesus went places, and he lists a whole bunch of places that he went. So Jesus went to the 10 towns territory because a deaf man was there. He went through Samaria because a woman needed him. He went to the pool of Bethesda because a lot of people were sick there. He walked along a road that led to a man who could not see. He went to Jericho because there was a man in a tree who had problems. He constantly went where there were needy and hurting people, and you thought contact work originated in Young Life. He left his home and his world, even his kind, to be among us in our world. He meets us on our turf, if you please, to build a personal relationship with us. He came to seek and to save people. Remember as a kid how much fun it was to play hide and seek. The one who was it counted to 100 and the rest ran and hid. Then the counter became the seeker, and this has been the God and man game ever since Adam and Eve hid from God in the garden. We inherited the art of hiding from God from those first ancestors and developed it into subtle, sophisticated ways. But the art of seeking has been almost abandoned. And as we go to build relationships with kids, as we seek to to build new relationships with kids and bring them into club, bring them into our turf. It's we're seeking them. We're seeking out how to build relationships, how to do something in club that is unique, that is going to engage kids in a time when they are completely disengaged and more isolated than ever. So that brings me up to point number 2. There are no rules right now. Other than like what the health department is putting out, there are no rules. One thing that we did this fall when we were able to meet is we completely deconstructed club. What we did is we showed up and we played Among Us. Yes, the app game. We played Among Us live and in person. We had tasks, we had assassins, we had imposters, we had the crewmates, the whole deal. We played that for weeks on end. That was the only thing that we did. We did Among Us for 45 minutes, and we did a 15-minute talk at the end. There was no music, there was no nothing else. This got kids moving around, it got them engaging with their friends, and it was something that they wanted to do. It engaged them where they were at. And on nights we had smaller numbers of kids show up, we may just play the app on the phones if that's what they wanted to do. We really listened to kids to see what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do club. Feel free to try new things that engage your kids right now. If that's club, if your local health department is cool with you doing that, figure out what kids want to do and engage them how they want to be engaged where they're at. It'll be different in every area. For us, Among Us works great. For other areas, that might not be where your kids are at. Listen to your kids. It's so important that we don't do what maybe we think is funny or fun as adults, as college students, because high school is a little bit different. For those of us that have been there, for me, it's been a few decades. But I know that listening to high school kids and doing ministry in ways that engage them has been fruitful this fall while we were able to meet. And if it doesn't work, if you try something and it doesn't work for everybody, you have the excuse of COVID. Like, hey, we tried something new, it didn't work, we're going to try something else new. Keep trying. You may hit on something that is the next big thing in Young Life that really engages kids. I'm hopeful for that for you and for your area. I'm hopeful for what you're doing in your area and how that can impact Quincy Young Life too, as we work together and as we seek to build bigger relationships mission-wide and just continue to share the information that is out there and what's working in different areas. Like I said, for us, it was Among Us, and that worked fantastic. That's all our kids wanted to do. That may not work for you. It may be something else. The third thing I want to talk about is just remembering why we're doing this. It's easy for us to want to think that we're saving kids by getting them to club. Club is not the end goal. Relationship with Jesus is. As we build clubs out, as we seek to get kids re-engaged and back to club this year, please remember that the goal behind all of this is not to get a large number of kids to club. It is to get kids in relationship with Jesus. Our goal should be and always will be to help kids grow in their faith, to introduce kids to Jesus and help them grow in their faith. So as we try to re-engage kids in club, as we try to build relationships with kids based on the love and hope found in Jesus, as we meet new kids and we see them want to get involved in Young Life, remember that getting them to club, getting them to Young Life is not the end game. Young Life is the tool that we use to get kids in relationship with Jesus. It is an asset that God has given us that we are able to work in and work for and volunteer in and for, that God is using to draw kids back to himself. So as we do club, make sure every aspect of that we do, yes, even Among Us, points to Jesus. All of our club talks point to Jesus. Every activity that we do throughout club points to Jesus. Whether that's music, whether that's the games that we play, the skits that we're able to do, even if it's something where we're doing virtual clubs and online, make sure that everything that we are doing is pointing to Jesus and leading kids to the truth that is found in him. Remember why we're doing this. Remember, right now there are no rules. We can do whatever works. We've got the built-in excuse of COVID, of the pandemic, of there is no normal. And remember our perception. If we view this time as a time that sucks, then kids are going to think this time sucks too. I've had that conversation with my own daughters here in my house. But if we have the perception that right now is a time to really get back to the truth of Young Life, the truth of the gospel of Jesus, and embodying a God who came, a God who went to distant places to seek the lost, to seek the furthest out, spend time with people when no one else wanted to spend time with them. We get to do that in Young Life. We get to do that through our club. So as we're building these things out, please keep this stuff in mind. Again, I am so thankful that you have chosen, 1, to volunteer with Young Life, 2, to listen to the call of God in your life, and 3, for being able to just make time for this today. So thank you wherever you're watching this at with your team. Thank you for your service to Young Life. Thank you for your heart for ministry and for kids. I hope this time has been something beneficial for you. If you would like to carry on a bigger conversation about this, feel free to have your staff person reach out to me. I would love to talk more detail about what we're doing with Young Life here in Quincy and how we're approaching that. So thank you again, and God bless.